less, I guess. Oh, this Coke Z burp. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Thursday, February 29th, Leap Day, everybody. We are here on a day that we won't see again for another 4 years. So hit that like button. It's unique. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. We are brought to you by Playback, and we will be live on Playback immediately following Live Before Lock, exclusively watching games, talking bets, talking DFS, talking whatever you guys want. So come and join us. I'm Josh Engleman, by the way. I don't know if I said that or not. If I did, I'm repeating myself. If I didn't, perfect. Matt Belman is joining me. What's going on, man?
Nothing. Tyrese Halliburton is 6 years old today.
Oh, is he a leap year baby?
He is
Mm. That's got to be so weird and really annoying to like a child.
so weird and so annoying. I'm with you.
I hope he blows it. Like, I hope he goes crazy on his birthday and like really blows it out and does wild shit. Like his real one, like every 4 years, just making an event.
It's funny. Someone asked him about it in an interview, and he was like, growing up, he used to just spend, they asked him, like, what day do you celebrate your birthday? February, like March 1st or February 28th. And he was like, well, growing up, February 28th. But now that I got money, both.
Yeah, that's much better answer. One of my friend's dads was a leap year baby. I don't know why I remember that because like there was no reason for me to remember that. I guess just because it's unique, it's still in my mind. I didn't really. That was the only one that I could ever really think of. That's kind of weird.
I got none.
Yeah, it's which is like, I mean, you have a what? Hold on. 1 in 1,460 chance, I guess, in theory, right? One day out of every 4 years, you have the opportunity to get shit out on the 29th of February. So you're not going to run into a lot of them. It's probably like one or two a school, one per school, maybe.
Yeah, I would say that I probably know them. I just don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, of
Yeah,
people that I know their birthdays of, I don't know any, but I also know a lot of people that I don't know their birthdays.
yeah. I didn't like I can't picture ever knowing anybody through school that had one. Like never, I can't remember ever doing it on like a party or anything. So I'm checking. There's like 180 people right out of the gate, plus other grades and stuff. Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't know. Oh, what do you think of the slate?
Easier to talk about than yesterday's, which I like. I have mixed feelings about this slate, but as always, I'm sure I'll like it more after we talk about it. How about you?
It's just so different than yesterday's slate. We don't have
Yeah.
those. We don't have the Norm Powell who ended up not being Norm Powell by the end of the night, but we don't have like the Andre Drummond type play. Like we don't have anybody that's just in now and wildly underpriced. Now that might happen with some of the Q tags that we have out there right now, but as it stands, it's just like a very flat kind of you can get to the guys you like the most, and that's not going to be much of a problem day.
Agreed. We don't have any, Luca or Jokic, but there are some good spend up options that, I think people are going to have to choose between.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it if that works for you. The Milwaukee Bucks are 12-point favorites in Charlotte, 218 total. Now, for this one, Milwaukee, Giannis probable, Marshawn Beauchamp probable, Andre Jackson questionable, Chris Middleton still out. So basically the same Milwaukee team we're used to seeing. Similarly for Charlotte, everybody that's normally out is out. Nick Smith is available. I don't know if that actually matters or not for this one, but he is not with the G League team for today. As we look at Milwaukee, we've got Lopez, Lillard, and Giannis are right around 10% owned. We did get Giannis up and over 10% optimal. We did get Portis to 10% optimal. Brook Lopez, 9.9. So we'll call it 10. What do you like here from Milwaukee and what should be a really good matchup, but it doesn't really come out that way in the tools?
It doesn't. Charlotte is so bad that you have to worry about, the Milwaukee spend up options here. They're all good plays. Are they better plays than guys in their price tiers that will probably be in more competitive games? maybe, maybe not. How do you see it?
I didn't have much earlier. I am right now about to paste all of my sim results into my sheet to find out where I actually stand for the updates. I don't get the sense it's going to be all that different because we haven't really gotten any news throughout the day. So, yeah, I have zero Giannis under on the 10% owned Brook Lopez. Only guy that I'm getting to a little bit. I have 8% of Jay Crowder right now, 3,700 small forward, power forward eligible. I just don't have these guys. They might be like my second least exposed team. I have 18% aggregate ownership to Milwaukee right now. The only team I have less than that of is Golden State. This is like a team, they're just sort of like all priced where they should be. And I don't want to say that I'm nervous about the blowout because that's not why I'm getting this. But I'm kind of happy I'm not getting it because I personally am nervous about the blowout. Charlotte's awful.
They are. Now, I will say something like Adam used to say. Never mind taking pieces from like the team that's doing the blowout, especially against a team like Charlotte. I just don't want to like load up on Milwaukee because all the guys you really want to play are expensive, both the two main guys, and then everyone else is priced fair. So they're all in play, especially in this matchup, but I don't want to go overboard with it.
I wish like I would have absolutely no issue getting to whatever amount of Giannis would show up in my lineups. I like Dame a bit. I have Dame a fantasy point ahead of where we have him. I just can't really get to these guys. I'm just on different spots. It's kind of a shame. Charlotte, by the way, dead last in net rating per dunks and threes, negative 10 points per 100 possessions. That is horrific.
Yeah, they're like bad. They're so bad defensively, and now they've traded a bunch of their guys. They can't usually hang with teams, so it's become a problem.
Yeah, it's funny because like I really want to see LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Grant Williams, and Mark Williams, and see what that 5-man lineup looks like. And we'll probably never see it in our lives.
I agree, but in reality, like how good is that team?
Maybe like they're not great, but like I'm a big LaMelo supporter. He's just never healthy. Can certainly shoot. I'm interested to see what Brandon Miller becomes. I think Miles Bridges is a perfectly reasonable starting wing. Like people want to have him. I think Grant Williams being the fifth best dude there as a guy that can just get out of any sort of like let LaMelo run his pick and rolls. Grant Williams in a quarter as like a better version of PJ Tucker shooting those threes, which I know people are going to like scoff at, but like Grant Williams has been a really solid 3-point shooter for a couple of years. He can approximate that role and then some. And then I've enjoyed the Mark Williams experience when he's been healthy, but this has been a lost season for him now too. I'm intrigued by what that can be. That's the starting five that I want to like see get some reps, not Vasily Micic and Cody Martin and now Davis Bertans plays. Seth Curry is here. Like it's a shame we're not going to get to see that because I assume Bridges is gone at the end of the year and then we're already talking about a different team.
Interesting to see what they do. I'm with you though. That 5-man rotation is clearly their best 5 guys.
Yeah. And then like I like some of their other guys then slotting into backup roles. Like if Cody Martin's your 8th best dude, that'll work. Like I'm cool with that. I think Nick Richards is a perfectly reasonable backup center. If Seth Curry is a bench guard, sure. If Micic or Mann are bench guards, sure. Just everybody is miscast. Speaking of the Hornets, though, 10% ownership to Brandon Miller, Cody Martin, Miles Bridges, and Trey Mann. I think the Charlotte side of this game looks a little bit better than the Milwaukee side, as weird as that sounds.
It's weird. I don't love the Charlotte side, but I'm with you. Just the pricing is so much better because the guys you want to play there, obviously aside from Bridges really, are a lot cheaper. So I'm not in love with Charlotte at all. And even Bridges himself, priced down to 8,200. Yeah, Charlotte looks better than Milwaukee. Again, I'll reiterate, I don't love them here, but their price tags are falling.
My big problem here is I'm getting a lot of Trey Mann today, and I'm not entirely sure why it's happening. We do have him as the highest optimal guy in the Boom Bust tool at 13%. He's showing up in many multiples of 13% right now. 5,400, He's been 0.99 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. Obviously, some of that overlaps into OKC, but he's been solid. I'm just nervous to have him because he's Trey Mann. I don't even have
Yeah,
like additional info there.
he has been good for Charlotte. Like,
Yeah,
his price is also down a little bit. So I don't hate it. I don't think he like stands out amongst the Charlotte guys,
agreed.
but Milwaukee also sucks. So like, especially defensively. I don't hate it at all.
What do you want to do here with like a $8,200 Bridges who's sitting there at, 10% optimal? Brandon Miller, 6,500, sitting there at 10% optimal. Cody Martin, sitting there at 10% optimal. Do you see it that same way? Like, just totally fine to get to one of these guys. There's not an individual that immediately stands out.
It's exactly how I see it. I will say Bridges looks intriguing to me. I don't want to say like good, but intriguing, if nothing else. Falling price point. Have to assume that if this game's competitive, it's because he played well,
Yeah.
probably Brandon Miller, Trey Man too. So this is one like, if I were to play Giannis, I'd be interested in running it back with a Bridges, even though, of course, you don't have to.
Sure. Yeah, I've got too much man. I won't have that much man when I get there, or like when I get to lock, but I assume I'm going to end up like 2xing the field on him. And then I'm just right around the field on Brandon Miller, on Cody Martin, on Miles Bridges, on Nick Richards. I guess I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that Charlotte keeps this one mildly competitive, which I don't know. Maybe they do.
What's the line on this game? It's in Charlotte.
Yeah, they're 12-point dogs.
I mean, I don't know. I heard someone once say, and I feel like it could have been on this show. This was years ago. Every NBA game, for the most part, now, of course, there's outliers, has basically the same chance to blow out. The spread just indicates which side is more likely to do the blowing out.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Like, a pick'em game has just as much likely to blow out as tonight's game. In the pick'em game, it's just either side could do the blowing out. In this game, it'd be highly unlikely for Charlotte to blow out.
If Charlotte blows Milwaukee out tonight, I'm going to assume there were some injuries involved or like ejections, something like that.
I would just love to see it.
But it does happen from time to time where all of a sudden that underdog just goes out there and look in
you
this
say
day
you. I know
age,
what you're going to say. Like out of the three, the Wizards, the Hornets, and whatever other shit team is playing a good team tonight, one of them is going to be close to, if not just winning outright.
That's actually not where I was going to go with this. I was just going to say, like, but I go there a lot. In this day and age, though, with the amount of threes that people get up, like, it's so easy to blow some out. If Charlotte's just hot shooting and Milwaukee isn't, it's really hard to just make that up in other facets of the game at this point. And that can just happen. Like, every once in a while, teams are just going to shoot the lights out. These are NBA players. Some days they're just going to shoot 50% as a team, and the other team just isn't going to have a chance to get back into it because of it.
Yeah, and there will be, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a season where like a double-digit dog will end up winning by double digits, maybe 1 to 2 times per year.
It's probably more than that, I would say.
I couldn't decide. I was going to say up like maybe 5, but I thought that was too much.
I'm going to look that up after the show. Do you have anything else for Charlotte?
I don't.
Neither do I. So we'll say hit that like button. That will help. Schedule for the rest of the day is very obvious. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next, going from 6 until 7. Then we go live on playback from 7 until somewhat undetermined time, but probably at a minimum an hour. I don't want to speak for anybody that's going to be on the show tonight. Talking all things basketball, sports betting, DFS, but live watching the games with us. We can give out VIP passes so you can watch League Pass with us if you don't already have it. We'll do some giveaways potentially, give out some lineup generator subscriptions if we can. Lots going on the playback streets. I hope you guys aren't missing that kind of stuff. Also, use our avatar. go to stokastic.com/avatar, grab that logo, fire it up on DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, or Yahoo. If you do that and you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you get 1 month of whichever package you're looking for, as long as it's an individual sport. Can't be all access. It's a $200 value. You'll get our projections, our ownership, our Sims tool, our contest generator, our lineup generator, premium Discord, and more. All you have to do is tweet that result at StokasticHOF. Show us the lineup. Show us the contest you were in. We want to promote you. Makes us look good to show our company logo at the top of a contest, but you get a little bit of a benefit as well. The key for you, totally free. Costs you nothing. You can grab that logo at stokastic.com/avatar. Utah Jazz, 6.5-point dogs in Orlando, 225 total. Utah has a Q tag on Walker Kessler. Orlando has a Q tag on Paolo Banchero. We did get news that Jonathan Isaac is out here. Utah kind of looking like Milwaukee and Charlotte in that no one's really getting a lot of love. It's 8%, 8%, 10%, 8%, 8% owned type dudes. A little bit of positive leverage, though. Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, and John Collins all cresting that 10% optimal mark. Do you have a Jazz guy that stands out to you?
Not really. If I had to choose, I think maybe it'd be Clarkson just because of that small forward eligibility under 6K. Not a good spot for them, though. Utah looks a lot like those other teams we just talked about. So I think they're fine in tournaments, especially a guy like Markkanen falling price tag, but certainly not a building block, at least for me.
Yeah, I have 14% Markkanen, so like a little over the field, but nothing crazy. I got to a little bit of Jordan Clarkson, but I'm finding it hard to get to Utah. This is a terrible spot for them on paper. 5th in defensive rating, 26th in pace. You don't find too many spots worse than this for the Jazz. So I'm having trouble like really dialing into what I would want to get here. You know, Jordan Clarkson is the highest owned guy, 10% if you round up. I think that's totally fine. I think most of these guys, it's a lot like Milwaukee. Like these guys are just going to be around 8% owned, and that's sort of where they should be. I don't have a hot take for Utah.
No, I will say sometimes guys like this end up being like when guys that are projected to be highly owned come in even higher owned, that ownership has to come from somewhere, right? A lot of times it comes from guys like this, like trimming the fat, if you will. So wouldn't be surprised at all if like, you know, insert Utah player here. If he's projected for 8%, he's actually 4%. That matters.
Yeah.
Just not sure it matters enough for me to want to play these guys here.
Agreed. I don't think it's really just going to, I don't think it's going to change anything too much for the better. Holy shit. Okay. Orlando. I'm going to have a little bit of a conversation here. Oh, I got to work this stupid Coke Z burp out too. God, there's so much carbonation. 18% ownership to Franz Wagner. Basically 18 to Paolo Banchero. Around 10 to Suggs, Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr. I want to hit you with this one. How many minutes do you think Markelle Fultz is playing today?
It's a good question. I don't have like a defined answer for you. I think it varies. Like, I think it depends on how he's playing, on how other guys are playing. He's so cheap, though. That definitely someone I was looking at, and certainly someone I was going to ask you about, because I know that you talk about him often and are on him when he's cheap like this.
Yeah, I look at that last game. He played 24 and a half minutes. And it's just like, well, if he can do that, is he just doing that now? Because I assume that's the goal, is like they want him to play 24 minutes. If they were willing to allow him to do that, like, is it out of the realm of possibility that he gets his starting point guard job back today?
No, it's just so like Orlando is such a murky situation because the only two guys that you know are getting big minutes every night are Paolo and Franz. Suggs is like a third, but not always. And everyone else is kind of musical chairs in terms of who's playing well. So I think there's upside in all these guys tonight. I don't look at Fultz different from the other two, although you're making a strong point. He's the cheapest. And if his minutes are up, like, could he potentially play 26 tonight?
That's where I start looking at this. Like, he's 4K. It does not take a big game out of Markelle Fultz if we think that north of 24 minutes can be a real thing.
Not even a
If
little bit. Like,
Banchero
that's
is out,
cheap.
then I start to get really nervous about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, he's just so cheap where now he's at the point where he's unlikely to kill you no matter what. Like, the biggest opportunity cost with him just comes in terms of using a roster spot on him, but he's value. Like, I'm almost opposite sticker shock seeing him so cheap.
He's in a lot of my stuff right now, but I overprojected his. Well, I have his minutes a little juiced. They don't need to be this juiced. What do you want to do with Franz and Banchero here, assuming Paolo Banchero is in? Because a matchup against the Utah Jazz is the inverse of a matchup against Orlando. Bad defense, great pace, good spot for the Magic.
Good spot for the Magic. Our tools like them, don't love them. And I feel similarly. I think Franz looks good here at 7,600. Just think there's other guys that look slightly better that are either in the same price tier, a little bit cheaper, a little bit more expensive. Banchero, I don't know, worries me a little bit just because he's missed these past 2 games with an illness. Like, I'm not saying you can't play him, but like, does he play a couple less minutes tonight just because clearly he's been sick? I don't know.
I'm light on both of them. I just keep looking at this team thinking, what am I going to be doing if Paolo Banchero gets ruled out? Because then I don't think I'm going to be all that light on Franz anymore. I'm going to feel a little bit better about getting to Jalen Suggs. I'm going to certainly feel a little bit better about, this isn't going to sound fun, but like $3,700 Gary Harris is slightly more interesting at that point. Cole Anthony is slightly more interesting in that point. Like, how much more of Orlando are you going to be looking at if we lose Banchero again?
A lot more. Joe Ingles. Because they're in such a good spot. And like, Banchero hasn't missed enough time where they're priced accordingly yet. So if he's out, I think Utah becomes, or Orlando, excuse me, becomes one of the top most desirable teams on the slate, at least for me.
They're going to become very, very interesting if we drop Banchero. He went through shoot around, but didn't he go through shoot around last time and then not play?
God, that screws me so much. The Banchero the other day and then last night with Fox, because like I didn't play any of the early games. I played one lineup last night in like the whatever bigger contest, whatever it was. Last spot in, I didn't want to change anything else, was Mike Conley, and our tools liked him a little bit. I was like, am I really playing 8:35? That news comes out, and I really can't even do anything because I'm hamstrung.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave 5K of salary on the board. So everyone else, I was like the second lineup outside of the money, I think. So it sucks.
That's shitty. That's real shitty. Yeah, I ended up having enough space to get to a wealth of Malik Monk, so that worked out pretty well. Although he started off a lot better and certainly faded late, and obviously that game didn't go well for Sacramento.
He must have lost playing time. What he end up with? I saw he was amazing in the first half.
I think he only played like 24 minutes.
Wow, and he played a lot in the first half.
Yeah, I don't think he played even remotely close to that in the second half. I'm going to pull it up now just because I actually want the answer to that question. Malik Monk played, he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. He played 8 minutes and 12 seconds in the third quarter, and that was it.
What do you end up with, like 35 fantasy points?
30 and a quarter.
Oh, wow. So he did not have a good second half.
Now, let's see. In that 8-minute rotation, he had 4.5 DraftKings points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just it completely went away.
That's Malik Monk in a nutshell.
Yep. Josh Gillum says, imagine if yesterday was the no late swap slate. NBA is brutal. I hope that I'm on the right side of it when that shit happens. I'm excited for, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, some of those days are going to be awesome when that shit happens.
Any given day in DFS is a lot about luck also. So like,
yeah,
tomorrow, who the hell knows what's going to happen, like just specifically tomorrow. What I do like though, they haven't priced out the slate yet, at least as of like a couple hours ago, which I like because I'm sure they're at least trying to wait on news and stuff to make it a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah. I mean, like, bring on all of the volatility possible. Like when you get that kind of stuff right, it's like a speedway pass to just get to like the right answer faster. Which doesn't really exist in a late swap game. Like you can, when the news goes your way, it pays you off more in these scenarios because so many lineups die.
I agree. I heard someone make the point that like I read this on Twitter. I can't remember who said this, but what the common user or just the casual doesn't realize is that the people max entering will be able to take risks on the guys that like are questionable. I mean, that's very true. That's true.
Yeah, that's
as opposed to the guy who's like entering one lineup and needs to cash,
Right. Like you can't lose extra money when these things go wrong. But when they go right, it's exponential on the opposite side for you. That's the appeal to me, is just that, like, yeah, there are gonna be some days where I take a bath, but there's only so much that there's a downside here. There's like a stop loss involved in all of it. But if you play 40% of somebody thinking they're gonna get in and that guy ends up the guy ahead of him gets ruled out, you're just like, holy shit, like I am holding the goods when we get there at a very low owner. Like it's
you just
fun.
Don't see that in DFS ever.
No, it's gonna be I'm really excited for tomorrow's slate.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Atlanta Hawks 1.5 point dogs in Brooklyn, 223 total. 18% ownership coming into Clint Capella, who's starting to see his minutes climb a little bit. Bogdanovich is in at 10%. Ben Simmons ruled out. Oh, I was going to play all of him today, too. Shame. Patty Wills no longer with the Atlanta Hawks. Not that matters. No Trae Young for this one. No Onyeka Okongwu. How you feeling here about Clint Capella now with the increased minutes?
I think he's fine. I don't think he's a lock or anything. I think the real discussion here is DeJounte Murray. Been one of the most popular players on the slate, like for the past 3 slates since Trae Young is out. He's been really good. He is not pulling any ownership today. What's your thoughts on him?
I don't have any. He's 24% owned on FanDuel, though. 8,800 point guard, shooting guard eligible. 9,400 is quite the real price tag for DeJounte Murray. Here's a question for you. Who's a better play today? DeJounte Murray or Jalen Brunson? Assuming Brunson's in, obviously.
The Knicks play, can't even remember off the top of my head.
Golden State.
That's tough. Probably Brunson, but I don't think it's like head and shoulders.
What about Curry or Booker or Lillard? Because those 5 guys all are next to each other in salary with no names in between them. Brunson at 9,600, Curry at 95, Murray at 94, Booker at 92, and then Lillard at 88. I think that's why he's not getting any love. How the hell do you separate those 5 guys from each other?
Okay, I agree with that. And I think you could reasonably, in that group, rank him last. But I also think you could reasonably play him over all the others, too.
Yeah. Yeah, like I have no problem getting there. I would like to. 9,400 just becomes it's pretty wild to think of DeJounte Murray being more expensive than Damian Lillard.
I was trying to think about what his price tags got up to when he was with San Antonio. Must have been somewhere around here.
I would have said in like the 7K range.
Really?
Yeah.
At his peak?
We're about to find out. I'm going to look it up. Okay, so he's been with Atlanta for what? A year and a half?
Yeah, I think this is his 2nd year there.
I couldn't remember if that was a deadline deal or not. All right, so that's 24. So that's this year. That's all of last year. So 2021-22 season. These prices can't be right. This can't be right, can it? I think Fantasy Cruncher is giving me incorrect pricing here. Because there's no chance he was 11K on multiple days in February of 2022.
Why not?
Right? That's not possible, right?
It is. That's what I'm saying. It is very possible.
Murray was a 10K player. How do I not remember that? He started that season at 6,800. 2 weeks later, he was 9,200. And then pretty soon he was 10K for the entire year. He was
Yeah,
11-2 in a game in March.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't remember it exactly like that, but I
mean, he was
vaguely
smashing,
familiar.
by the way. 73 out there. He had 80
Right?
one day.
Triple doubles, a ton of rebounds and steals for a guard.
Wow. In no scenario would I have ever said that he ever got to 10K.
Yeah, you thought it was an error on Crunch.
I thought it was grabbing like showdown captain salaries for each day.
You got to put some more respect on his name.
I'm a fan, sort of. I didn't think he was efficient enough to have that kind of price tag, but boy, am I wrong. Anyway, yeah, maybe we should be a little bit more interested in DeJounte Murray, who should apparently definitely be priced higher than Dame.
No, it doesn't that doesn't make me like him more, but I think
Sure.
there is sticker shock on his price tag. And he's probably, I don't know if he's fairly priced, a little bit too expensive for his median outcome, but he's certainly not too expensive for his upside. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, that was I don't know where that information went in my brain, but it ain't in there anymore. The perils of talking about this shit multiple times a day, every day for 5 straight seasons. I have a hard time recalling things any longer.
Because it all just meshes together.
Yeah. It's like if I don't know it for that particular day, like I don't have a lot of space left for storage anymore. It's all like active memory. What else do you want to do with Atlanta, though? But Bogdanovich is getting some love. I think Sadiq Bey is like a totally reasonable play today. I don't have a ton of interest in Bruno Fernando. He's getting a little bit of love. If Clint Capella's minutes are going up, that makes me a little nervous.
Atlanta looks good here, not great. Their prices are up, obviously, as Murray's we've talked about. Bogdanovich 6,400. He's been solid, if not spectacular. I don't know. I think I like Atlanta more than I like the Charlottes and Utahs of the world, but I don't love them at all. Murray, Jalen Johnson look really good. Jalen Johnson over 8K. I get it. It's tough for me to prioritize him. I always am a fan of Bogdanovich, especially when one of Trey or Murray is out. I don't think that he's a guy. It's just he's kind of hard to nail down. Like he's pretty inconsistent. Now his price is up. The ownership isn't there, so that makes me intrigued. But I don't know if I'll get to any Atlanta tonight. But I think Murray, Johnson, Bogdanovich, those three in particular, Capella, those four are all in play.
Well, we're cheering against Jalen Johnson because I have his under on Prize Picks tonight. I don't have under. Ooh, go ahead.
No, someone, again, I can't remember who posted this. He's like completely, if you look at the most improved player odds, he's like plus a crazy number. I'm trying to think about, honestly, right now, who should be most improved over him.
I think it's Maxey, right?
I don't even think that's right, though, personally.
It might. I'm going to take a look now.
No, I mean, you might be right, but I don't think that that's correct. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Maxey's the leader in the clubhouse. Kobe White second. Jalen Williams third. It might actually be Jalen Williams. Kuminga fourth. I'm just reading off odds. Şengün fifth. Jalen Johnson 60-1.
Yeah, I think that's a little off. Again, I think that honestly, it's funny. I think Maxey's I thought very highly of Maxey last year. I know that Harden's gone and all that, but I think Kobe White, honestly, of all the names you read, would probably be the guy I'd choose.
26% assist rate for Maxey this year, up from 16%. 27% usage, up from 24 last year. He's still above average in efficiency. Plus 4.2 EPM. Man, I don't know. I don't know what to think here. Hasn't been as great without Joel Embiid. That's
right.
A fair statement. I mean, to me, it's Jalen Williams. I think he's getting slept on because that team's so good and like a lot of the credit gets appropriated to Shea. This dude is a terror.
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, he's the Jalen Williams Shea threesome is unreal.
And Jalen Williams is getting better and better as the season is going on. two-way player in a major way. 63% true shooting. Sign me up for that. Obviously doesn't take a ton of threes, only 3.5 per 75 possessions, but 45% from three, so at least they're going in.
Yeah, fair.
All right. 4th and 1, hit us with the super chat. Josh, as my son is a D1, D2 football wrestling, I just stopped hand building and bought your generator. How do I use it while I watch the show? Okay, so I would love to be able to tell you that that's an impossibility for what I'm doing because I actually have to host this show. We have multiple videos on our YouTube channel. Greg did a bunch of them outlining exactly how these tools work. Also, hop yourself on over to our Discord. We have a Sims strategy channel there. You could ask any questions you need, but there is no way for me to do that right now. I appreciate the super chat, but this is not that show. But check out some of the videos we have on YouTube. We have multiple tutorials, Steve Buzzard and Greg breaking down how these tools work. But Discord is going to be where you're going to want to be for any questions like that. So, no Ben Simmons for Brooklyn. 40% ownership for Cam Johnson, 35 for Mikal Bridges, 25 for Nick Claxton, 15 for Schroeder and Lonnie Walker. Lots of love coming into this Brooklyn team because Atlanta is so bad and they play so fast. Where do you have your eye? Because I got a lot of these guys. As of right now, Brooklyn is my most exposed team.
Our guy, Mikal Bridges, now at an even lower price point than he's been. He looks like the top piece. Ownership is there, but I don't care. 7K, cog in the machine type play on all formats. Like him a lot. Cam Johnson looks really good here. He's too cheap. Again, no Ben Simmons, no Cam Thomas. It just opens up so many shots for these guys. Brooklyn looks good all the way around. Nick Claxton looks good. He might, I don't want to say get slept on, but he's not getting nearly the ownership as the other guys, the other two I just mentioned. I would say those three are my three favorites, and our tools, are with me on that.
I got 46% of our boy Mikal Bridges now down to 7K since he's been playing quite poorly for a while. I don't like that price tag, this matchup. I have a hard time getting away from him right now. Then again, he did have 4 points the last time out in 29 minutes.
That's sad. All right, Banchero's in.
Oh, good. I didn't want to deal with that. Similarly, like now that Ben Simmons is out, like I feel really good about getting to Cam Johnson. I'm more than okay here in this spot against Atlanta. I think Claxton for 6,400 is it. I just like the pricing for this matchup. Atlanta's dead last in defense on dunks and threes, third in pace. The one guy I'm not getting to here is Schroeder, but maybe that changes a little bit. Although I don't really think it's going to move all that much for Ben Simmons. They just kind of keep playing Dennis Schroeder like 28 minutes.
I think he's fine, but again, I'm not excited about playing Schroeder. So
yeah,
if I had 5,200 left and didn't want to change anything, I might play him, but I'm not going out of my way to play him either.
Bridges is going to pay me off tonight. Finally, he's going to pay everybody else off too, I guess.
Yeah,
he's 34% owned, but
yeah.
I'm just going to say this one out loud. If you're playing 150 lineups regularly, more often than not, you're going to be skilled if you're playing the main contest. Otherwise, you're just going to be aggressively broke. You'll find out very quickly if you aren't. But, yeah. I have way too much Cam Johnson. The guy said, if you're playing 10 to 15 lineups and you have a better ROI than the guys playing 150 lineups, your skill is better. Anybody with money can play 150 entries. I said that is very not true.
Yeah, I mean, depends on how much money you're talking about. Like,
yeah.
Not anyone with money can. No, that's.
If you're playing 10 to 15 lineups and you have a good ROI, you should probably just start playing more lineups.
Right. And also, like, what's the sample size? Are you know what I mean? Which is also a big part of this.
Why would you stop yourself from making more money if you if you have the data that tells you you're better? Like it's
Agreed.
like any other company in the world. Like you want to scale that somehow.
Yep.
I got nothing else for Brooklyn.
Same. My interest in Brooklyn only makes me like DeJounte Murray that much more, though, I will say.
Playback, guys. I mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. Coming up after Live Before Lock, which remember, to watch Live Before Lock, you got to hit the like button. Screen just goes black. We go live on Playback right now, playback.tv/stochastic. We simulcast the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock on Playback. If you just want to watch it there, you can. You can see some tools getting shared too as well. However, at 7 o'clock, we are exclusively live on Playback. We could watch games on League Pass all together. No latency in the chat either. We're just having a back and forth. We can give out some League Pass subscriptions for you guys, VIP passes, so that you can watch along with us if you don't already have it. We can talk sports betting. We can talk DFS. We can talk anything really. Free reign. You're going to have Greg there for an hour. I know Eric's hopping on to talk some sports betting tonight, so you don't want to miss it. We're there every day now, guys, and we're going to be there for a while. So if you've stopped by, I'm guessing you've enjoyed it. If you haven't, you should stop by. Golden State Warriors, 4.5-point favorites in New York, 222 total. 5% ownership going to Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody. We've got a little bit of positive leverage on some of these guys. I have one share of Kuminga. I think Golden State is the worst team to get to today, and that is backed up by the fact that they are the lowest owned team.
I'm with you. I even like those other shit teams we talked about earlier more. They're priced where they should be. It's not too expensive. Nothing on Golden State stands out to me.
Yeah. I would like to add more here. It's a bad spot. Knicks defense is good, and they play slower than every single team on the planet.
Yeah, it's not a good spot at all.
However, we also have the Knicks on the opposite side, and a giant Q tag hanging out on Jalen Brunson that I think really matters. As of right now, I have 40-something% of Brunson. I'm getting a very, very large amount. Can't seem to get away from him in any way. Only 4% ownership to Dante DiVincenzo, 10 coming into Josh Hart. Do you like anything here for the Knicks? Let's say Brunson's in, and then let me know if you like anything specifically if he ends up out.
Brunson nutted for you the other night, so
Yeah.
not surprised you like going back there. I know I heard you didn't have any Scotty Barnes that night. Neither did I, and I can't remember who I played, but they all did really well. Was that the Heat King slate?
I don't know. This is another situation where like my memory's gone.
I knew that as soon as I asked, but I think it was. And those guys were amazing, but not as good as Scotty Barnes. Anywho, yeah, I like Brunson a lot if he plays. You got me thinking hard about Brunson versus DeJounte Murray. I think it's a real question. Are tools like Brunson more? I probably like Brunson a little bit more. He doesn't have the positionality, the positional eligibility that Murray does, which makes me potentially get to Murray over him. But right now, if I had 9,600 left in util, I would play Brunson over Murray. Brunson looks objectively good here. Other than that, like if he's out, everyone else looks better. Miles McBride becomes in play. Their price tags are high though. So I do like the Knicks significantly more than I like Golden State. Just not sure exactly, where to go if Brunson's out. How about you?
Like you're obviously going to be a little bit more interested in Dante DiVincenzo. He's probably played like 37 or 38 minutes at that point. You're more than okay getting some Josh Hart. McBride will look better for sure. I don't think that he becomes like some guy you really want to get to. And then, I mean, the question then becomes like, what the hell do they want to do with Alec Burks? I thought Tibbs was going to run him into the ground, and it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think he's a big question mark if Brunson's out. Because I'm with you. I'm not sure what to make of him.
I would have assumed like that last game with no Brunson and no Hartenstein, I would have assumed you were getting 26, 28 minutes out of Burks off the bench. He played 16 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like I just assumed he was like the perfect dude for Tibbs to just put out there and eat minutes. And then that just didn't happen. So I
No,
don't I don't really think I get to a ton more from the Knicks other than probably an increase to DiVincenzo.
I'm with that. And he's priced at a point where like I don't think you have to get there, but they've also shown that like these guys can pay off these price tags when guys are
Yeah.
out. So I don't mind it either. Good spot for them too.
Keep your eyes peeled on that Brunson news, but I'm letting you guys know right now, if Jalen Brunson is in, he's my dude in this 9K point guard range. See how that plays out. Oklahoma City, 11-point favorites in San Antonio. We get Chet versus Wemby once again. I'm stoked for it. That's for sure. OKC's got everybody in. San Antonio's got everybody in. They bought out Marcus Morris today as well. I'm curious to see where he ends up. 15% ownership to Shea, 20 to Jalen Williams, around 15 for Chet, single digits for Josh Giddey and Lou Dort. We'll start on the Shea side. How do you feel? 15% optimal in our data right now.
I love this game. I love it from a DFS perspective, from a watching perspective. We talked about Chet versus Wemby whenever it happened last. I can't remember the last time there was like a true NBA rivalry like this. And these guys can say whatever they want. Like you can tell they are going at it when they're playing each other. I love Chet today, but starting with Shea, yeah, I mean, he's become an elite fantasy player, an elite NBA player. You know, he's not like Jokic, Luka, or Giannis, but he's on that next level every single night, always in play. Looks good here, not getting a ton of love. Hope this game stays competitive if you play Shea. You know, I'd like to play Shea with Wemby. They're both expensive, though, so a little difficult to do. I don't know if he's my favorite stud on the slate, but I think you could make a case for him being so, and he's certainly in play for me. I think I'd rather probably play a Brunson or Murray at 1,000 cheaper, but that by no means is any indictment on Shea himself.
I have half the field. I don't really know why. I like him. I'd like to play him. I love the spot. Like everything looks good to me. He's just not showing up. I am getting to Wemby as my pay up option though. So I think it's just a lot of it has to do probably with the fact that half of my lineups have Jalen Brunson.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
I think
position.
if Jalen Brunson gets ruled in, we might see his ownership climb a little bit, which will in turn probably bring him down for me a little bit. Maybe that unlocks me getting to like a neutral rate for Shea. But I'm just kind of neutral on all these guys. I'm right at the field for Chet. I'm right around the field for Jalen Williams. Right around the field for Dort. A little bit heavy, but nothing crazy, like 10%. I want to take a deeper look into Shea in the final hour before this, just to see like why am I not getting him in a spot where I feel like I should.
I'll be interested to hear how much Van Vliet you're getting too.
We'll have that conversation shortly. By the way, we did get a little bit of news a minute or two ago. Walker Kessler has been ruled out for Utah. I don't really think that matters much. You feel a little bit better about giving a minute or two to John Collins, but I think Omer Yurtseven just steps into that backup role.
Brunson on track to play.
Perfect. San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, 10,100, which is way less than DeJounte Murray was priced back in the day. Power forward center, 20% owned. Trey Jones is close to 30% owned. Keldon Johnson's 15. Jeremy Sohan's 15. Devin Vassell's 15. I really like the San Antonio team today, which is kind of weird because this spot sucks.
Yeah, I don't know why our tools and I like them so much, but I do. Wemby is just always in play type of guy right now. What would he be priced if he were playing like real minutes, like 36 a night?
13.
Yeah, I was going to say like around 13.
Isaiah Hartenstein will play today.
Good to know. As far as the Spurs go, this is another team. Wemby is obviously the top dog. So like it's Wemby, then a huge drop off. Then the other guys look similar, like where they're priced. I think Vassell looks the best, but he's over 7K. Trey Jones looks good. The ownership is there. I don't love that, but fine playing him also.
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson's to me like the GPP guy who's got upside but is inconsistent. He's cheap though. So the ownership's there, but not nearly as much as the other guys, and he's coming in with nice leverage. So I like the idea of getting to Keldon actually.
I have a lot. right now. 34%, 4,900. Now, you got to hope that he doesn't go out there and play 4 minutes like he did on the 25th. And you want to cross your fingers and hope he plays 34 minutes like he did after that. But he played 31, 29 and a half, 4, got the gate, and well, the pop gate, and then 34 minutes again. If Keldon Johnson's playing 30 minutes at 4,900, he's a fantastic play today.
I agree.
Like, he's a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. If his minutes can even be remotely real, like that starts to look really good with an MPE. So I'm a big fan of him today just because of that price. I just got to pray that he's out there. Like he's $1,100 more expensive on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's wild.
I think San Antonio is my second most exposed team right now. You have 158% in the aggregate. I got a lot of Trey Jones, which makes me very nervous. I don't like the exposure that I'm getting to Trey named point guards. Devin Vassell is the only guy that I'm under the field on of all the guys that are getting some love. And he's the one guy that I would like to play more.
Yeah, it's just a pricing thing for sure. Spurs look good. They look similar to Brooklyn in that just they all look good.
Who's your favorite pay up option today? Giannis at 11.3, Shea at 10.7, or Victor Wembanyama at 10.1?
I think Wemby.
We're on the same page. Want to close this one out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Houston Rockets, 8.5-point dogs in Phoenix, 231 total. We have 31% ownership coming into a $6,600 Fred VanVleet, 20% coming into Dylan Brooks, 15 to Jalen Green, and 10 to Alperen Şengün. We'll start with Fred VanVleet. Is he your dude today?
He's really hard to get away from. I mean, he looks basically the same as Mikal Bridges to me. Guys that maybe you could say have underperformed lately, but are just way too cheap for not only their upside, but also their median projection. So, yeah, I don't want to say he's my guy because he's one of the highest owned guys on the slate, but I'm with that ownership. He's too cheap, especially. Do we know about Jalen Green yet?
Not that I'm aware of. He is still questionable with this mysterious illness that is making its way through the NBA. I just want to know who's this gal that everybody's getting with.
Talk about volatile players too. Jalen Green. I do not know what to make of him.
Yeah.
Not closing often for them, which is not a good sign for what the number one overall pick 2 years ago.
Number 2, right?
Number 2?
It was 2, right?
Who was 1? I think he was 1.
No. 2,
Am
right?
I
He was
off
2.
here?
He was
Okay.
2. 2020 class. Who the fuck is ahead of him? Chat's gonna get it. Cade.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just off.
That's what I mean, man. My mind just mushes that out. Cade, Green, Mobley, Barnes, Suggs. Now it all comes back to me. I could probably read the rest of that off. I'm a little under on VanVleet. I'm dead neutral on 20% owned Dylan Brooks though right now. But this is the perfect Dylan Brooks spot to me. I mean, you get him to be a perimeter defender. Well, if Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant are out there, like this seems like the time where you play Dylan Brooks a lot, I guess. I don't know if that's a good thing for his offensive ceiling, but if you're not going to play him in these sorts of spots, you probably didn't want Dylan Brooks in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever playing him for his offensive ceiling anyways. I think we're just playing him in the hopes that he gets minutes. And I think you're right. Like this is a good spot for him to play a lot. So I get it. Value's just at a premium tonight, and he's got shooting guard and small forward eligibility. So it makes sense.
How do you feel about an $8,600 Şengün?
Always like him.
Yeah.
Just not sure I'm going to be able to. Well, I could play him if I forced him in. It's hard to get to him tonight at this price point at center. I like him. I'd have no problems playing him. I just don't think I personally will prioritize him. How about yourself?
I think he's sort of sneaky because of his relatively low ownership for the day and the fact that center is kind of a void. Like we don't have Jokic at the tippy top. We don't even have a Domantas Sabonis at the tippy top. We don't really use Giannis at center. Like you're trying to, or at least you're trying to use Giannis and Wemby as power forwards when you can. Like Şengün is sort of the highest, or I mean, not even sort of. Şengün is the highest salaried center only guy on the slate today. I do think that carries like a little bit of an appeal to me on a day where, all he has to do is go out there and all he has to do is hang a 50 burger, but it's in the cards for him. If the ownership stays where it is, I kind of like him in GPPs.
I'm with you. I forgot to say this when I was talking about him. The biggest reason I will not get to him is Chet Holmgren. I prefer Holmgren. He's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, I saw Jake Gillum just mentioned in the chat. Jabari playing really good ball right now.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what his like long-term future is, what he becomes as an NBA player, because I don't really know what his career is going to be.
Right now, would you take Jalen Green or Jabari Smith?
Jabari Smith.
Easy. 2 months ago, I think that these guys have now flip-flopped, where 2 months ago, maybe not you, but a lot of people would have said Jalen Green.
The answer is Jalen Green if you're trying to swing for the fences.
Sure.
I think Jabari Smith has a much easier time fitting into a good team in the future and being malleable in that role. Like if and when Jalen Green, like if he can catch, a creator like him is like the gold standard of what you're trying to find. I think
he just has to be better than Jalen Green, though.
I think those chances are going down and down and down very regularly, whereas I only see Jabari Smith looking better and better.
I agree with that take wholeheartedly.
Anything else for Houston?
No, just I like the shout out of Jabari. Not getting ownership at all. So interesting.
Bradley Beal questionable. Eric Gordon questionable. Yusuf Nurkic is probable. 10% ownership to Durant and Booker. 15 to Nurk. 5 to Bradley Beal. What do you like here from Phoenix? Does it matter if Beal is in or out for you?
Yeah, it matters in the sense that Durant and Booker just look even better. For the other guys, not really, because Durant and Booker will eat all the usage no matter what. So Phoenix looks good here. I think Durant and Booker are both solid building blocks in the Jalen Brunson realm, or if you like those guys over Brunson, I got no arguments there. Here's one for you, though. Bol. Getting to any of him at all?
I don't think he's playable unless we get dudes out. I think his rotations just shrink back down to like the 14 minutes he was playing if Beal and Gordon are in.
Okay. Makes sense.
If he's not in, then and you can start projecting Bol for like 22 minutes or 24 minutes. Like, I mean, he played 26 and a half and then 24 over the last 2 games, but that's no Beal in either one of them, no Nurkic in one of them, no Eric Gordon in one of them. So like you had 2 starters out in both of those games. If he comes back, if they come back, then I think you get like 14 to 16 and you're not really looking at him at all. If he can play 24 minutes again, then I think you should be pretty interested in him. It's around a fantasy point per minute, dude. 3,900 power forward eligibility. You kind of just need that news first, I think.
Yeah, with that. I feel like Phoenix is tricky to prioritize, but like, man, Durant and Booker always have massive upside, and tonight is no different. How are you getting to these guys at all?
So I have 18% of Booker at 11% ownership, and I have 16% of Durant at 11% ownership. So I am a little bit over on both of these guys. Another reason why I might not be grabbing as much Shea as I was talking about before, just taking a little bit of a stand higher on the 9K guys.
I think that makes sense. And I think you're right. The question you asked me at the beginning, like deciphering between Murray, Brunson, Booker, is difficult. They all look pretty similar.
Yeah. It's a really blurry range, man. It's a really blurry range. And like getting that one right is probably the key. Like one of those guys is going to have I'm in an optimal lineup score. getting that piece right out of just those guards is one of the first things that is like hard to do for today.
I think that two of them easily could.
Yeah. Oh yeah. At least one, I guess I should have said.
At least one. Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing else here. You want to turn this one over to live before lock?
Yeah, let's turn over. One thing that is interesting that I didn't talk about at all, the top 4 players in our boom bust tool are all on the late slate.
Ooh, that's interesting. Makes for a really interesting early slate.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of why we're seeing flattened ownership in a lot of spots.
All righty. Live before lock coming up next. Thank you to Belman for being here with me. Another fantastic show in the books. Live before lock and then playback 2 more hours at least of coverage of NBA and DFS and sports betting. We're the best on the planet, folks. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button before I leave. We're out of here. Peace.
We're back, baby. Another edition of the Stochastic Hall of Fame. We're inducting you fine people into it and giving away a ton of Stochastic memberships along the way. All you got to do to get involved, to get your free month, any Stochastic package of your choice up to $200, is download the Stochastic profile picture at stochastic.com/avatar and tweet your wins at Stochastic HOF. If you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, you're in. Let's get it started. Michael Diaz. Good night despite missing lock. I assume live before lock. Over 5K in wins. Have a great All-Star weekend, everybody. And let's get on to the second half. Followed by Ben P. I love this one. I was a skeptic when I had to switch from my usual process to the Stochastic Sims, but I'm officially all in. If you're not a pro and not using this tool, you're paying the rake. Just an awesome, awesome night from Ben P. Shout out to Ben and congrats on the wins. Then our own Tom Kennedy just on an absolute tear of late. Talking about Ben, it's been awesome to get these messages from Ben and everyone else. We knew our Sims were the future, but caught a lot of flack for forcing, in quotes, people to use it. See our users loving the new process. Taking down tournament after tournament this year has been incredible. Got a couple of my own with the tool this past weekend and Thursday. Yeah, a couple would be an understatement. $200,000 wins for Tom. And our friend Jorge, just right behind the big boss. This Sims tool should receive an award because the tools and people behind it are just the best in the market. Now, a $3,000 win for Jorge on a heater of his own lately. Dave DeMattis, Sims tool for the win. Payout isn't huge, but I'll absolutely take it in a field of 35,000 entries. Thanks for all you guys do at Stochastic and keep up the great work. And Sean Geezy back at it again. Actually, matter of fact, Jordan and I had deleted a few of Sean's over the past couple of weeks just because there were so many of them and we didn't have room, and he's up here every week. But second and fourth in the mini-max tonight. If only Fox could have played final 2 minutes. Shout out to the Stochastic team. Sean keeps rolling. Travis, Woolston, EMAC. How about the personal shout out to EMAC? EMAC, been a Stochastic listener for many years. Your info helped me ship 50K last night. A 50K shout out to EMAC. Shout out to Travis as well. PG18, second showdown win in 2 weeks. You weren't kidding, Lobby. The Sims tools crushed the showdown slates. Best tool in the business, $2,400 takedown for PG or Poker God 18. And Tim in Milford. Hey, Tim in Milford. At Stochastic, let's go. $1,000 win in the high five for Tim. And Dave Oliver back. Elway's Army. $2,800 win. Unbeatable content matched with Sims and live show. You guys are the best. Thank you again. Congrats, Dave. Mike Sobey, it was a good day at Riv. $10,000, second place in the Eagle to Mike. And then it's Jay Burke, $200 right there. Simple at Stochastic HOF. The Stochastic Avatar, second place as well. And Brent Lindsay, not a huge win, but I'll take it. $300, second in the end, one. Followed by Mike. Again, second place, Iron Mike 53. Let's go at Stochastic. We got any more? Brandon Muller, here we go. We did it at Stochastic HOF. First place, $166. That'll do it. Remember, you want to get involved, you want to get inducted, get your free month of any Stochastic Sims package you want up to $200. Just download the avatar, tweet your wins at Stochastic HOF if you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. And we'll see you guys back here for the next one.
American Wedding. That was an American Wedding quote.
Yeah, all good.
We can do all of those things.
Jordan gets so concerned. He doesn't trust us. Oh no, guys, the cameras are on. The mics are on. They can hear you. What's happening, guys? It is time for NBA Live Before Lock. As you come into his favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are sponsored by Playback tonight. And as you guys know, we got the post-lock show that we do over at Playback. And for today, very, very special episode because, Eric, would you like to tell the people who is going to be my co-host on the Playback show tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be me. I'm going to be there. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Apparently you are, because you sound like you're in a hallway right now with whatever that echo was. Unless it was only me who was hearing the echo again.
Only you again.
Huh. Well, let's see. I don't know. Somebody if anybody else heard an echo, let me know. It sounded to me like an echo, but might not have been the case. Might have only been on my end. But yes, post-lock show tonight over at Playback. It's going to be myself and Eric chopping it up. So really excited about that because an hour of us is really not enough. Eric really does want to hang out with me for an additional hour every night. And he said to me last night, he texted me, last thing before he went to bed last night, he said that if he survives the B attack, his one regret was that he had not done any post-lock shows with me. And just because he had this experience where his life flashed before his eyes, and his only one regret is that he hadn't been doing playback shows recently.
Yeah, I hadn't been doing playback shows, but I said with Josh. I would rather do it with Josh. But you know what? You don't get all the things you want in this life that you ask for. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll overcome. We'll go kick it in the Playback. I'm excited too. I'm excited to watch some hoops. I've watched a couple of the streams that we've done so far as I've been working through my stuff for the next day. I can talk a little bit through that process, but obviously we're going to get to watch some ball. We're going to get to do what I do pretty much every single night and just watch basketball for 6 hours and, really kind of put in the time. So excited to be there in Playback, excited to be hanging out with you for whatever that's worth. And everybody wants an update on B-Gate. We got B-Gate going. I can't get them out here till tomorrow. And so right now, just air conditioner is closed. It is not going to be opening because the fold, as long as it stays shut like that, there's no bees that are going to get in here. But they're all just hanging out on the other side of this building trying to get in and kill me. So let's try to not have that happen.
Yeah, they were plants by one of your Twitter or social media detractors. They have sent bees to come after you, but we've got the defense mechanism up, which was just closing the air conditioning unit. That is something that does seem to be working to keep you alive for now. But anyway, let's start getting into the show, beginning with your guys' super chats. And also, if you have any questions for us in Discord, if you're a Stochastic sub, go ahead and at me over the course of the show. I'll be hitting on all of those questions as well. And of course, that's one of the perks being a Stochastic sub. If you guys want to sign up for any package we have at Stochastic, use one of the links below in the description box. You want to sign up for the Sims package, which have really helped me make a lot of money this year, Eric. Yes, sign up for one of those links below. If you're somebody who's only playing maybe a lineup or two per night, you just want the lineup built for you, which also will get you some access to player projections, ownership projections, lineup generator package, less than $15. Whatever is the package that's right for you, sign up using the link that we have below. And if you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to me if you're not sure which package is correct for yourself. But right away here, I'm going to assume that Josh didn't answer any of these super chats. The reason I assume that is because I had the show on while I was building on my lineups. I don't remember hearing him answer any of these questions. So starting with 4th and 1, he said, Josh, my son is a D1, D2 football wrestling. I just stopped hand building and bought the generator.
He did answer this question.
How do I use it while I watch the show? Let's do a run through. Fair to assume, Jordan, that he didn't answer this question last show?
He answered the question, which is unbelievable because I heard like 15 minutes of the show and it was the tail 15 and he definitely answered that.
Okay. I missed it. There's no way he answered Sotex's question though, right?
No, absolutely not. 0%.
All right, cool. So, all right, 1 for 2.
You were half right. Yeah. Yeah. 1 for 2, 50%. Not failing in school, not failing because you didn't get everything wrong, right?
Josh, ideally, he would answer all of the questions asked him, but 1 for 2, it's good by his standards. Pretty good that he got to half the questions. Sotex is saying punting at center on FanDuel. Should he go to Day'Ron Sharpe or Bruno Fernando? And thanks. All right, let me pull up the FanDuel lineups I've built here.
Playing a little on FanDuel again. Yesterday was fun, except for when you get 13th in a 104,000 person tournament. You don't get nearly enough. Then that would be my one gripe. But otherwise, ended up being a pretty good day. Glad I played both sites because it ended up being all right. But FanDuel, just going to run it back a little bit. I'm only playing 30 lineups DK, 20 lineups FanDuel, just to keep it somewhat simple while we're doing the after lock show. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be Bruno Fernando.
Yeah, it is Day'Ron Sharpe. And also I was looking through to see, is there any other punt option maybe I prefer to these guys? But I think Sharpe is the way you want to go. And honestly, not even a terrible option. Not the guy you want to be is like your most rostered center or anything like that. But in the set of 150 lineups I built out for FanDuel, I got to 11% of Day'Ron Sharpe. So if somebody who did show up in a double-digit amount of lineups didn't really get to Bruno Fernando. So Sharpe, I think that's the guy to go with there. So Tex, for you, Eric, is it Sharpe over Fernando? Is it somebody else? Is it neither?
I mean, Fernando has power forward eligibility. But he's 18.5% owned with a 15% optimal percentage, whereas it's basically 5 and 5 for Sharpe. The thing is that Nick Claxton has played like dog doo-doo too. I mean, if you've watched some of these Nets game, I'm on the less than 10.5 rebounds pretty much across the industry on multiple pick'em sites here today. Just I think getting under right now on him on just about everything makes sense across the industry because I mean, you're running into situations earlier in the season where he was playing 37, 39, 40 minutes, but that was all with Day'Ron Sharpe out. And that was like the middle end of January. Day'Ron Sharpe in blowout run, which again is pretty much any game the Nets playing here at this point in time. They're live for it at any moment. Day'Ron Sharpe's going to run into 18, 20 minutes at some point, and he is a phenomenal fantasy producer. I just think Fernando, with where he is 4K power forward, yeah, I see why he's getting the ownership, but I would rather get really, really different and go to Sharpe as well.
Yeah, and I mean, something else to note as well is that the power forward eligibility is kind of irrelevant because Sotex is only looking to fill out his center spot.
Correct.
So, yeah, another reason to just lower ownership and better projection. Go with Day'Ron Sharpe there, Sotex. Shout out to Chris Williams, our friend from Apple, who gifted out 5 YouTube memberships. Chris, as always, we appreciate you for supporting the show. And for anybody else who wants to know the easiest way to support our content, like the video, subscribe, and also subscribe to us over on Playback. We got the feature over there as well. You can subscribe to the Playback channel. So check out the Post-Lock show as well. Easy, free ways to support our content. Next question is from our friend, Ace of Spade. He wants to know our top options for DK tiers, Eric. Are you prepared here for the tiers?
Of course I am. I wouldn't come into this show without crunching them for my friend.
All right, so let's start at tier 1, and he's not the answer, but oh, does it warm my heart that Victor Wembanyama is now included in the tier 1 list of options. So I'm going with Giannis here, but it just made me happy to see Wemby.
I get it. It's gotta feel warm and fuzzy because again, I mean, we saw this coming, right? I mean, this guy has just been absurd. He's a 1.66 fantasy point per minute producer, but you got Giannis at 1.7. He is Giannis. We have got him for what, 30 minutes against this inept Charlotte basketball team. Come on, it's gonna be Giannis.
Now, with all of this said, how long until Wemby is going to be the option over Giannis in this tier? At what point do you think Wembanyama surpasses Giannis as a fantasy producer? It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, next year. It would have to be. It's not going to be this NBA season because I doubt Pop allows him over 32, 34 minutes. Because what's the point? Like, what would be the point of doing that other than like, hey, let's stretch him out a little bit and see if he's capable of handling these kind of minutes. But like, I think we know that he is. He's going to be playing in the Olympics this summer. I mean, he's going to be like one of the studs of the Olympics. It's in Paris. So like, I got to think that Pop is going to do everything he can to limit his minutes the rest of the way.
Who else is on that France team? I assume Tony Parker doesn't play for them anymore. Nick Batum?
Nick Batum, Rudy Gobert. They're going to be all lanky, fun to watch. That's for sure. I think, who's the other guy? So there was somebody, I mean, obviously Joel Embiid decided he was going to go with the US, but he has French nationality. That was a big deal coming into this year on whether or not he was going to declare for, the home for USA, or if he was going to go to where they're hosting the Olympics. Would have been really cool to see Embiid on that team, that's for sure. But obviously that did not come to fruition. But they'll have some really fun guys. Yeah, Fournier, obviously. We've got Rinpack in there firing it off. Yeah, Fournier going to be awesome.
You know who also is a rookie who's French? Koulibaly.
Oh, yeah, Bilal. That's right. Good call. Good call.
I don't know if there's any other active NBA players from France, though. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You have some guys that would surprise you from back in the day, but I mean, there's a couple of them. I thought, who was the other guy that I thought had French nationality? Was not Pascal Siakam, it was somebody else that I thought had the opportunity to declare and then went the other direction. But yeah, Fournier is definitely... doesn't matter, going to beat Canada. Nobody going to beat Canada. Canada's going to be surprisingly good this year, though. They're going to be much better than they've been in years past at the Olympics. But USA, France, Germany, any team that, I mean, Australia, Patty Mills, whatever he puts on the Australian jersey, look out, everybody. He'll be 10K at the Olympics. So that'll be enjoyable. Yeah, Banchero. Okay, so he was going to be Italy. Yeah, he's going to be with the U.S. team now. Yeah, and it's going to be an awesome Olympics
Simmons,
this year.
Not French, but he is a coward, so maybe add him to the France team, give him a little bit more length in defense. Something to think about. Ben Simmons. He's like an honorary French, isn't he?
Oh my God. Yeah, I
don't
even know where to go with
history?
that. Come on now. Let's get to the slate.
Ben Simmons is going to be on Team France next year. Let's see. Oh, right.
Oh, Killian Hayes. Yeah, there you go. Australia. He'll be doing nothing for them. That's great.
So we've got more tiers to talk about, by the way. Let's see. Which tier do we... Oh, so tier 1 was where we finished. Tier 2, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant for sure.
Tier 3. Tier 3, that is going to be Damian Lillard for me. Also, though, I'm going to say this. It's Dame for now, but if Jalen Green is out, I would go with Şengün in tier 3.
I would agree with you.
Let's see what we have in tier 4. Tier 4, where it's pretty tight here. We've got Franz Wagner, Jalen Williams, Lauri Markkanen all projected really tightly. I'm going to go with Franz Wagner, but you could go with any of those 3 guys, and I think you made an okay choice.
I'm with you.
And now let's go to tier 5. Tier 5, the ever-popular Mikal Bridges tonight is currently at the top for me, but same sort of deal I talked about before. If Jalen Green is ruled out, give me Fred VanVleet over Bridges.
I really hope, for a lot of reasons. Again, I have so much Mikal Bridges. I hate my lineups because of him. Like, I hate what's going to happen. I can see this coming. There will be no 13th in my future. I just feel that. I feel that today.
And now let's close it out with tier 6. And in tier 6, I'm going to go with Nick Claxton, who should see a little, not that it makes like a massive difference, but a little bit better of a rebound rate with Ben Simmons out.
Yeah, I talked about it. I'm on the under of his rebounds, but at the same time, I mean, we're talking about different entities. You look at the other players in the tier, I think he is definitely the guy who projects the best.
All right, and that is going to wrap up tiers for us. Thank you very much for the super chat, Ace of Spade. And I know there's many people in our community that appreciate the questions you leave as well, because people always get very excited when we talk about the tiers. I know I've seen a lot of tiers winning screenshots over the years that people have said that it's come from us answering your super chat. So Ace of Spade, legend of the stochastic community here.
Yeah.
Super chat from Mr. Biggs. Let me see if he left a question in the YouTube chat, because there's no question attached to it. Yeah, not seeing anything here. Mr. Biggs, if you just want to leave us money, cool. I appreciate it. If you had a question you want to ask, you don't have to leave us another super chat. Just throw it into the YouTube chat, and I am on the lookout for it. I'm searching Biggs in here to see if I could find anything. But yeah, it doesn't look like anything was left as far as a question. So just throw that into the YouTube chat if you had a question you wanted to attach to this. Next super chat, Courtney Lamar. Courtney wants to know, any love for Omer Yurtseven on DraftKings? Maybe he starts. I would be very, very surprised if he starts. I know that Walker Kessler was ruled out, but Kessler, a couple of things. Number one, hasn't been starting. Number two, Kessler's kind of started to fall out of favor in Utah and has barely been playing all that many minutes as of late. So it is like 16, 18 minutes or so to fill, but it's not like a massive amount or anything like that. I would be very, very surprised if Yurtseven starts. Is this somebody that you're finding yourself getting to?
I have some. I'm playing 30 lineup, season 3 of them. 20K, 3K flat. Opportunity where a blowout takes things and probably elevates it. Like, for me, that's the most interesting part is like Utah has been playing some terrible basketball on the road, one of the worst road teams, period. And, there's a built-in home court advantage when you play at elevation. Doesn't come with you on the road. And so that doesn't surprise me so much. But Omer Yurtseven, 3K flat fantasy point per minute producer. If he walks into 18 or 20 in a blowout, which is very live, they're 7-point dogs here at the moment. There is a gigantic opportunity for him to just do what backup centers can do from time to time, and that's just smash.
And by the way, I think this is a very valid talking point. Somebody in chat said, hey, but didn't Walker Kessler play a bunch of minutes last game? I think, who was it in chat? I want to make sure. Here it is. Christian Valentine said, didn't Kessler play 36 minutes last game? No, he played 29, right under 30 minutes, so 29 and a half, called 30 minutes, but the game was a massive blowout. So if you look at the minutes for the Jazz in that spot, John Collins got into early foul trouble, and then it was also a blowout. So that's what led to the nearly 30 minutes for Walker Kessler.
You're making my point for me. You're making my point. Is that
the games before, Kessler played 19 and 17 minutes. So don't expect that all of a sudden Yurtseven plays 30 minutes or anything.
I know, but that's what I'm getting at is that I think, where do we have him at? I had him at 17 minutes. He is at 16 minutes in our projection. So perfect. Like, this is the point, is that I have him for 17 minutes, but the right tail is large. Like, there's an opportunity for him to play not 30, because I mean, that game got really sideways quick after that first half. But like, if you're running into a double-digit blowout, I mean, those are the kind of guys that it's fun to roster, because a 3K Omer Yurtseven actually does stuff out there. When you start running into like the 4K, 0.65 fantasy point per minute guys that end up being chalky because of positionality, it is what it is. But like, if Yurtseven goes into plays 24 minutes, which I would call not a crazy outcome, like that's just saying, hey, a standard 15, 20-point game in the fourth quarter, which in this scenario is probably what, a 75th, well, I'd say probably 1 out of every 4 or 5 times you run this game, you're running into that kind of situation. If today's that day, he's 3K and you're getting paid off for it at 2%. So like, again, he's only in 3 of my 30 at the moment. Maybe he doesn't show up at the end, but it's at least a valid talking point. The problem is like, some slates you have centers that are just absolutely, like yesterday, it was the most loaded center slate that I can remember in a long, long time. We talked about it ad nauseum. Today, it's Nick Claxton, who I like to get under the field on, Clint Capella, who I think is about appropriately owned, and then a bunch of guys who have power forward eligibility for me. So again, the opportunity cost is not nearly that high today. Omer Yurtseven, very live.
Let's see what else we have in here. This one's from Clintwood83, said he got third in the 10K mini-max last night. Thanks, guys. And then he said a HOF at the end. So nice win, Clintwood. Always love to see when we see people who are watching the shows take stuff down, or any of our customers win stuff. Always love to see that. So Clintwood, congrats on the dub last night. Thomas Ryan, our favorite plays on DraftKings at each position. And then he said, come to, I don't know what this says, and I'm afraid to read it because it probably is something I'm not supposed to say. Whenever I'm confused
Kicker
by
of
something
K.
I read. What?
I was making the joke that we always make about when somebody's name is supposed to throw you off.
Oh, yeah. The old kicker of K Hunts, a legend on the Stochastic channel.
Yeah, that's
How
one
would you
word
pronounce
for it.
that kicker of K Hunts, Eric?
K Hunts. No, I did not say that. I didn't say that.
Now, you can be, you kind of just combine the K and the Hunts together. You just read it as all one word.
There's a reason I'm the analyst on this show now.
It was, oh, by the way, okay. So I just, it looks like he's, do you know this golf course? Shoal Creek?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. He's saying something reasonable. He's saying that we should come to Alabama to play Shoal Creek.
Oh, that sounds great to me. That's a beautiful spot.
I just kind of looked at it at first glance. I was like, I don't know what this says.
You thought it was going to be like
Schitt's
Schitt's Creek from, yeah.
Then I kind of realized, maybe that's not something all that crazy. I just wanted to make sure it was an actual golf course when I ran it by you. So, good. Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Favorite plays at DraftKings for each position. Here's what I have. And of note, players who are on the injury report that could still end up changing what we're looking at in lineups. LeBron is questionable, but not on the main slate. Don't have to worry about it. Bradley Beal is questionable. The big one, though, is that Jalen Green is questionable to play. And then you also have to consider that it's Jalen Green as well as Bradley Beal in the same game. So it could be some additional value that opens up on both sides of that. So let's start with point guard, Eric. Who is the point guard that you are getting the most exposure to?
I am currently getting to the most of Fred VanVleet.
It is Trey Jones for me, followed by Fred VanVleet, but overweight to both of them. And it is going to be Fred VanVleet for sure if Jalen Green is ruled out. Shooting guard. Who is your most rostered shooting guard?
It is Mikal Bridges. I just can't today.
I'm going to say Bridges at small forward, and then I'm going to use Dennis Schroeder at shooting guard.
Those are the
small
1-2.
Forward.
What are you doing with Lonnie Walker today? That's the most important decision point for me, because Lonnie Walker, once upon a time, I think I got 5th or 6th, I think, in the $15 the other day. With Lonnie Walker a month ago it was. It was right after I had the big hit, and then God, what was that? I can't remember the exact situation, but Lonnie Walker was popping in our projections. He's such a boom bust candidate in a spot like this here. Played 21 minutes in that blowout, has the usage whenever he's on the floor. How are you handling Lonnie Walker? Because I think he's the biggest talking point of the slate, to be honest.
I don't have a super interesting take because I'm just about even with the field.
Okay. I want to have an interesting take because it feels like he's going to absolutely smash or absolutely not, every single time that I see him popular. And it's just trying to be on the right side of the fence. I'm probably with you because right now I have 25% and it's just what I can't imagine that I want to play half of 15 or 30 lineups. I'm just going to have Lonnie Walker in it. But I think there's validity to it. He's 3,900. We know he's going to get run and it's Atlanta. So if all the other nets are popular and it ends up being Lonnie Walker night, I'm going to feel really stupid considering he's sub 4K, and it stands out like a sore thumb with the price tag and the fact that we know he'll be in the rotation this time.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the ownership and what is it? So 4 of our 5 most rostered players on the entire slate coming from the Brooklyn Nets: Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Dennis Schroeder, and Nick Claxton, and Lonnie Walker comes in after. So overall, it's what 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, 5 of our 7 most our highest projected owned players, 5 of 7 of them coming from the Nets. The field is loading up on the Nets. I get it. And at least for me, Lonnie Walker's not a guy I'm taking any kind of real stand on, though. Just kind of with the field, he's projected for 23% ownership.
I guess it's fair. Yeah, I'm just maybe it's the old brain in me where it's I can't. There's certain parts that the Sims tool does it for us now. I don't have to worry so much about it at the end of the day, but it still feels like one of those spots that I kind of want to make a stand on. Wanted to talk it out at least while we're going through the positions.
Interesting. So Jordan Klein has something set up where he is just immediately giving emojis to everything that everybody says in playback over there. Don't say it isn't you. I could hover over it and I see it says here, Jordan Klein fire, Jordan Klein ice, Jordan Klein smiles, Jordan Klein eyeball. He's doing it for everything in here. I don't know what kind of wizardry you're cooking up over there, Jordan, but it's interesting.
Be gone with you, devil. What is going on? Yeah, please get rid of that.
All right, let's look at the power forwards here. And yeah.
Jalen Williams. Well, I mean, it's Cameron Johnson, very obviously. But yeah, Jalen Williams is the guy that isn't Cameron Johnson, which
Cameron Johnson
small forward,
for me at power forward, he's going to be super popular. I find him to be fairly difficult to get away from. And then at center, Nick Claxton for me, followed by a Clint Capella. Clint Capella, I'm fairly overweight to with ownership in the teens.
Yeah, again, I'm under on Claxton, but I still have him in 20% of lineups.
All right, let's see what else we have as far as Super Chats go. Thank you for that one, Thomas Ryan. And sorry for just trying to play cautious. When I saw Shoal Creek, I'm I've never heard of that before. I don't know if these are words that I don't know. Does it mean something if you say it? So I'm doing my head, I'm Shoal Creek. Does that mean something? And I was but my bad for assuming the worst there, Thomas. So we got a super chat here from Chris Williams. And then after we answer Chris's super chat, it'll be time for the nuke of the night, Eric. But Chris Williams saying, guys, playback is the shit. The late news and the great host helped me split first in the $15 DK showdown and split first in the $1 showdown last night. We can answer later, but he wants to know who are favorite cheap DK Lakers showdown players. So does it have to be from the Lakers side of the game, Chris, or can it be from, is it for the game on the whole, or are you just looking for players from the Lakers side? One thing I will say is that LeBron is questionable. My gut feeling is that he's not going to play. What do you make of him being questionable?
Yeah, I think one of the best plays you can get right now, and also from a betting perspective, I have a ton of interest in adding some stuff to the card here from later. I'm surprised by some of the lines that have been set out at, both Pick'em and at sportsbooks right now. 6.5 assists for D'Angelo Russell. That is just such a smash. What do you think? His assist rate is nearly 40% without LeBron James on the floor in like 611-minute sample size this season. So it is one of those spots. Yeah, 39.1% assist percentage. I mean, D'Angelo Russell over 6.5 assists. It's like minus 110 everywhere, minus 115. I mean, it is such a smash today. I'd just kind of like preemptively put it on the card. And then in the event that LeBron sits like you and I are thinking, that's going to close at 8.5 or, at least 7.5 heavily juiced to the over.
As far as the cap, so let's look at it this way. From Chris Williams' question, he wants to know who our favorite cheap DK Lakers showdown players are. Let's assume LeBron is out. Then it's going to be all players we want to load up on from the Lakers. So I'm going to look at that.
I just ran something for him. So the guy I'm getting to the most by far is D'Angelo Russell. And then Austin Reeves was second. I got to Cam Reddish as well, who would not be all that interesting right now, but he is very interesting at 3,100 for the late slate. And then on Showdown, where did he go here? I ran something for that just a second ago. What's Cam Reddish on Showdown there? Because he would be very interesting as well.
Yeah, so Reddish is priced at 2,000. So yes, that would be quite appealing.
That's the guy. He would be awesome to get to.
Jordan, could you just admit you're a bot already? I know you're a bot. You're an NPC.
I'm definitely not smart enough to figure something like this out, so it's definitely I don't think on my end.
If you post anything in the chat on playback right now, it will instantly get every single emoji in playback given to it by Jordan. And it's hilarious. So the only conclusion here, which somebody had brought up in the chat here already, and come on, Jordan, what are you doing here? Eric posted AIDS in the chat, and you immediately give it a fire emoji. What are you doing here, Jordan?
Cholera.
It's very inappropriate of you, Jordan. Yeah.
What's it like just being a terrible human?
By the way, shout out to Ricky Beers is the one who brought up that Jordan is a bot. Jordan is the bot who is giving everybody all of the emojis over there. So we'll see. Oh, it looks like they stopped for now. Huh.
It's incredible.
Jordan's doing it on purpose. I know he was. All right. So Cam Reddish is certainly going to be one. And once again, Chris, this is assuming that LeBron doesn't ultimately end up playing tonight. I think that's the most likely scenario. Let me look at some of the other price points for these Lakers players. So if we look in the flex spot, some of the cheap price points, Taurean Prince is $4K. Spencer Dinwiddie is $4,800. Dinwiddie's trash. He stinks, but the Lakers seem to be giving him a pretty decent leash to get minutes, no matter how poorly he plays in some of these games. He's somebody who could really be a big gainer in the absence of LeBron. We've seen him play 20, 23, 24 minutes the last few games. So Dinwiddie's another guy who I wouldn't mind getting to in the absence of LeBron.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka having him up in the stands as he was like finding his suitor. I'm like, this is hilarious. Nobody wanted it. The Brooklyn Nets did not want him. Nobody wanted Spencer Dinwiddie here at this point in time, but Rob Pelinka did. So there you go. He found himself a home.
All right. You know what time it is now? If Jordan, if you are still with us to play the animation from Nuke of the Night, if you could remove yourself from trolling everybody in playback, do us a favor. Hit the animation. It's time for Nuke of the Night.
Here I go.
I love how
getting myself
us so we can see it on screen.
Blown up. Goodbye to my penis. There it goes.
And there it is. It is gone.
Yep.
Eric no longer has a penis, which means it is time for the Nuke of the Night. Eric, who's the player that is going to launch your lineups into orbit tonight?
All right. So this is obviously a late swap situation. We do not have late swap tomorrow. So I would be remiss not to at least have it be a late swap candidate and somebody you should have on your radar that I don't think is getting ownership now, that you're going to want to give a ton of ownership to potentially later. And I understand Fred VanVleet's already popular and preloaded into lineups. I understand Alperen Şengün has a high ceiling, and I think people recognize that. I understand Dylan Brooks is popular because of positionality. But in the event that you get one Jalen Green out, how do you not love Amin Thompson at 5,900 today? He is just a stat stuffer. He's now a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy, doesn't need the usage, just needs minutes to go up, and he finds ways on the floor. He is 0.5% owned, and I know, I would not want him in my lineups in any way, shape, or form in the event that Jalen Green is out there. But in the event that Jalen Green plays, I'll just turn that ownership into him. He's $100 away. So I'm preloading Jalen Green into lineups, knowing full well that I will swap down $100 to a lot of an under-owned Amin Thompson in the event that he is out. Amin Thompson, the unlikely late swap candidate nuke of the night.
I love watching. I see Jordan playing around trying to figure out how to not be a bot on playback, but he doesn't. I'm going to challenge you, Jordan, to, do you know what a stoplight looks like? We're gonna give him the real bot test. Can you identify a stoplight if I showed you a picture of one?
By the way, that was DraftKings specific for the people that are saying 7,500 FanDuel, 75. I'm very aware what he is on FanDuel. This was DraftKings specific. On FanDuel, if you're looking for a nuke, let's just call it Alperen Şengün. Done.
Which one of these pictures is a motorcycle in it? Goddamn bot, Jordan. See, liking everybody's, it's just everybody, somebody posts something.
Please click on the staircase. And then there's like always that little tiny bit of the staircase that's built in. And I'm like, am I going to be judged by the machine about being a machine in the event that I recognize that there's only a sliver of it? And then does it count for or against it? Because there's times that I've just toyed around with it. And I'm like, oh, I bet it won't know that I clicked on it. And it lets me go anyway. So I don't know.
Jordan's a bot. There's no doubt about it. I've always suspected it, but now we know for sure. I'm
going to go to a Clippers game with him, and he's just going to
that's a
shut
bot.
down.
If you ask me, that's a bot all day. So he came back and tried to fix it immediately. All the emojis come back. I'm going to go with Fred VanVleet as my nuke of the night, who I know that he is fairly popular right now, but he's somebody you want to have already preloaded into a bunch of your lineups. Yep. If things play out as is, cool. Fred VanVleet already looks like a good option. But if Jalen Green, who is questionable, ends up not playing, then Fred VanVleet looks even better. So Fred VanVleet, that is going to be my nuke of the night. Looks great now and could only look even potentially better later on in the night.
Do you think Jalen Green plays or not?
Super chat. Sorry, what was that, Eric?
Do you think Jalen Green plays or not?
I do not.
And I'm with you, which is why, again, preload some Amin Thompson too.
Let's start answering some of the questions that we have in Discord, and then we'll get back to the super chats in a second. But first, we got Ben Snappin says that Eric is in the red room. Yeah, Eric has got quite the ambiance set up over there, but I like it. It's playback colors. I see what you're doing. I
try to change the color scheme, and I have different effects for stuff. I'm like, I should start utilizing it. It's cool. I set up a studio in this place for a reason. I have soundproof walling. I have really cool lighting. I've got some different stuff that I'm still going to be ordering and piecing together, but I'm like, I should start utilizing the lighting to my benefit rather than just like, oh, whatever, phone it in. So I thought it looked cool with the red scheme in the back. I don't know.
Let's see what else is in here. No, I like it, especially, I mean, it's playback colors. It got the matches up with the logo there. It looks nice. One of the better decisions you've probably made ever in your life.
Oh, geez.
We've got a question here from Gangrene. Gangrene wants to know, Eric, what is the bee's knees play of the night?
Wow. See, that is the PG version I was looking for. We don't need to be throat goating everywhere, people. Like, we don't need to be doing that on the daily.
Well, I mean, coming from you, I don't know about that, but the bees, and however you want to, what is the bee's knees play of the night?
I mean, God, it's a 0.5% Amin Thompson that people won't get to as much as they should if that news comes out late. I want it to come out as late as possible. And yes, I am telling 3,000 people in YouTube chat, and I am telling the couple hundred people we have watching us on Playback. Also, jump over to Playback so Jordan Klein can share all of those great tools with you guys. But just saying, I feel like the bee's knees plays. That's as sneaky and bzzy as it gets. I'm here for it.
I'm going to go with another Rockets player who would benefit in the absence of Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks, who has been priced all the way down to $4,400.
Does he benefit really?
Now.
Does he? Like, run this again. He's just kind of the same dude no matter what.
But there'd be extra minutes for him if Jalen Green is out.
Suppose. Definitely solidifies them where, I mean, he's going to be on the floor a lot anyway, because, yeah, you got the Kevin Durant human being out there. I don't know Well, I guess Jabari Smith's going to be on him. Good luck tonight. Jabari Smith will not be taking his over PRA today. Almost took his under, which was kind of a strange run of events. But yeah, I see a little bit. Like, it's all right with me. I mean, the minutes look okay to me. I mean, Dylan Brooks, 0.73 DraftKings points per minute. Jalen Green off the floor. I don't know why I didn't have this queried earlier. I normally have these like preloaded in the little saved queries tab on Add More Funds, but such is life. Good job, Eric. 0.73. He turns into 0.84. Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I'm incorrect. Congratulations. First time ever.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but Kenny Wayne 256. Eric, who's the exotic play of the night?
God, why? Just why? Alperen Şengün, but why?
To give people the most important information they need to build their DFS lineups.
Right. Yeah. That's what we were doing there. I felt that. Whitmore in play of no Jay Green. Kind of. He kind of plays the same role no matter what. There's a lot of times that I've tried to make Cam Whitmore a thing. 4,300 obviously becomes intriguing. He can get there for you in 22 minutes. And, I will give another minute or two, but there's guys like Amin Thompson that I just think are in line for like 30 minutes. And there's just I just think there's a larger upside for a guy that I'm pretty sure sees the largest minutes discrepancy at an identical fantasy point per minute. But Cam Whitmore is 4,300, so I don't completely hate it.
It looks like the bot has changed. It was Jordan who was the bot, and now it's Fiblaminius is now the bot who's automatically liking everybody's posts. So congratulations, Jordan. You're not the bot anymore. I'm going to go with Lonnie Walker the fourth as my exotic play of the night. It's a very like old timey white money sounding name. Lonnie Walker the fourth.
What are the rules of this again? Like we're just moving the goalposts every day now.
Lonnie Walker the fourth.
You're just trying to make me look like the asshole every single time.
So if you were you didn't know hoops and somebody said, hey, I'm going to give you a player, or I'm not even a player, because if you even knew as a basketball player, they'd probably tip you off. If I just said, I'm going to give you a name and you have to guess the ethnicity of said person, and I told you Lonnie Walker the fourth, you're guessing white guy. That's an exotic play in my book. Let's see what else we have here. And Kenny Wayne also followed up. He said,
there's literally,
he said that he asked, but he missed the exotic play last night. He had to coach a little league game and then got smoked by a team of non-exotic kids. Hey, I was at that point in my athletic career once. I understand when you play some of the good high school teams, that'll happen to you. That'll happen. Kenny, but we did answer the question. By the way, Chris Middleton is, I thought they were going to say he was returning sometime. What kind of information is that? Unlikely to play? Yeah, he's been out for
not useful.
Rico Rod wants to know FanDuel single entry early game priorities. Okay, so if we go over to FanDuel, the two early games, we're talking about Utah, Orlando, and Charlotte, Milwaukee. Let's see if there's any real priorities. I don't think there's anybody you have to play from if you're just playing one lineup and you're trying to give yourself flexibility, I don't think you have to play anybody from the first couple games.
Nope. Definitely don't. Milwaukee, Charlotte, obviously the Giannis and Damian Lillard characters exist. There's really nothing from Charlotte I care about.
And
Utah, Orlando.
Question.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let's see. Yeah, nothing crazy that you really need to go out of your way for.
Let's see what else we have in here. Einstein wants to know, what are our thoughts on shifting some ownership from Cam Johnson to Keldon Johnson? Eric, you down for a Johnson swap here?
Yeah, Johnson and Johnson. They have a lot of money. The company and these individual basketball players. I don't hate anything really about getting to the Spurs here. Oklahoma City, really, really good defensively. I think we can all agree on that. Fourth in adjusted defensive rating, but they also are about that pace, no treble. 100.6 possessions per 48 minutes. Pretty tough to run into a game environment that isn't interesting when you talk about some of the cheaper Spurs and you're bringing the pace up.
So I have more exposure to Cam Johnson than Keldon Johnson, but I'm overweight to Keldon Johnson. So to your question, Einstein, if you have to pick one person to be overweight to, if you have to pick one person to pivot off of Cam Johnson to, Keldon Johnson would be my answer. So I do not hate that at all there. Let me search here to see if we got a question from Biggs. Oh, yeah, we did. He wants to know who is the Viagra play of the night. So
there you go.
Who is somebody? Here's the Viagra play.
Okay,
it's
I'm ready.
Somebody who we think has the potential to grow later on in the night. So who's the
potential? Oh, that's 100% Amin Thompson. 100% Amin Thompson.
Amin Thompson, the Viagra play.
But I mean, I'm already. I'm moving the desk already.
Full mass.
It's more of a halfer.
It's funny because we were just talking about the pills and whatnot before the show started, before we got on. So it's a good thing that we already went over some of this information before.
Life comes.
I'm gonna go with Dillon Brooks as the Viagra play.
Fair. Except for nothing about Dillon Brooks ever makes you. More flaccid when I think of Dillon Brooks.
Oh, a bunch of super chats just came in. Okay. Jamal Parker wants to know how much Moody exposure is good for today. Are you playing much of Moses Moody tonight, Eric?
No.
It's very dependent on Beal. Sorry, not on Beal being out. It's dependent on. Honestly, it's going to be a no for me. I actually don't see a scenario where I really get to much of Moses Moody.
He's starting. I don't really care at 3,800.
I played him when he was really cheap.
Yeah, 3K, and he needed everything to go his way to get to 22 watching that game.
Yeah, I at the elevated price point, it's a no for me. I would just look through. I'm only playing 20 lineups today, and he's not in any of them. So I'm gonna go with a no. No on Moses Moody.
How about
Phil
no,
wants
Scott?
To know, who are you most I like this. It's interesting. Who are you most allergic to tonight? And then Buzz. Who's the player that you were the most underrated?
I will find out. It just in the back of my head, the first guy that came to mind was that the John Collins. I know he was pulling some ownership there. I don't think it changes his role all that much. I mean, I think Yurt 7 might play more than you think he does. I just reran the Sims 2. I got more of him in my second run. So I might have been on to something talking through the Yurt 7 thing, because a 3K piece of value who's a good fantasy producer on a bad team on the road, blowout potential. Like, there's a lot of things that are positive going for him. I've one lineup of John Collins. That's interesting to look at. Let me finish this. One more guy. Oh, there you go. So the Lonnie Walker thing, I'm going to be around the field on now. I wasn't really sure how I was going to be handling him. I'm going to do the same thing you are, basically hand holding, going through here, seeing if there's anybody else that I'm like massively underweight to. Nicholas Claxton, I'm under slightly.
People are very, very bullish on Yurt 7. Yeah, Teddy Wayman. Hubro is in there asking us Matt Belman bits. We've got Teddy Wayman is saying he's predicting that we get 22 minutes tonight out of Yurt 7. So expecting him to play an even bigger role than what we were getting out of Walker Kessler before. Let's see the next question that we have. And, oh, by the way, my answer, the player, here's the guy with the most ownership that I'm not getting to. That is Jeremy Sokan, who's projected for ownership in the high teens, I believe.
Yeah, he makes me want to cry watching him play basketball at Baylor and then in the NBA. Oh, that guy is difficult. How much Wemby did you end up with?
He is in 3 of my 20 lineups.
That's chill. Okay.
See what the next question is here. Brandon Wagner. He missed the first half of the deeper dive. What are we doing with Brooklyn? Guards in particular on DK. This is my most rostered team by a mile. So in order of exposure for me, Cam Johnson, followed by Mikal Bridges, then Nick Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith I'm getting to as a contrarian option from the Nets, Dennis Schroeder, and then Lonnie Walker. So Walker, I'm about in line with the field on, and then Schroeder, I'm a little bit overweight to. And overall, as far as guards are concerned, the only guards I have more exposure to than Dennis Schroeder. Actually, Schroeder's ownership is sub 20%. It's not anything crazy. But the only guards I have more of than Schroeder are Fred VanVleet, Mikal Bridges, and Trey Jones.
Trey Jones.
Anything else you would add about the guards from Brooklyn?
Not really. I'm rostering
play,
them.
By the way,
I'm rostering them. LeBron James expected to play. That's just dumb and very tilting. Yeah. But I was
pretty sure that LeBron was going to end up sitting, but look, wrong, because he is.
I'm glad I didn't completely send that one into space, because I was about to. 6.5 assists, looking at that and just staring at it, knowing how big of a spike D'Angelo gets there. I'm glad I didn't send that one to the Knox and a Moon. That was a Mummy Returns joke.
Next question. Patrick Rose wants to know thoughts on rostering SGA and KD in the same lineup on FanDuel. So I think Kevin Durant looks great on FanDuel. The problem, though, is there aren't that many cheap plays that I like to really be able to jam both of them together. So let's see. Of the lineups that I've built on FanDuel, I have 10 out of 150 that have Durant and SGA. It's just hard to get up to the salaries on both of them. Yep. Now, if Bradley Beal is out, then that makes Kevin Durant even a higher priority. And then maybe some of those exposure to him go up and I get some more of SGA. If you're playing one lineup, it wouldn't be my first choice. We're playing a bunch of lineups. Like I said, I've got 10 out of 150 lineups that have both of them.
Lovely.
Kevin Watkins wants to know who are the best guard plays on the late slate. Let me build late slate lineups for you to answer that question.
Why is Yurt7 coming up even more for me? This is getting crazy.
Jorge Jacomi says, would you decrease the ROI for some players? He's getting 50 and 45% of Schroeder and Omar Yurt7. Says that he's kind of scared of that. So I don't have any issue with your Schroeder exposure. Eric is higher on Yurt7 than me. I wouldn't want him in half of my lineups, though.
You would want him in half your lineups?
No, would not want him.
Oh, yeah. No. And that's the guy I'm giving a little bit of an ROI decrease to because he just got, slam your body down and wind it all around a little bit. There was some Spice Girl action going on.
So how much Yurt7? I don't have, by the way, I don't have any Yurt7 exposure. How aggressive are you looking to get to Yurt7?
Well, I just reran my stuff here, and I will tell you, in my last run, I got 40% of it. I'm gonna decrease it a little bit here because this is too much. Too much. I'm gonna get to around 20% though.
Next question here. Merrill Peak, Fultz or Walker? That is Walker over Fultz for me.
Yes, same.
Chris Williams, what about Holmes on the showdown? He's the only other center, and if Bagley gets into foul trouble, he's 2,200. I got to pull up that game for showdown. So let's see. So Holmes. Yeah. So, but here's something I'll add to that because I forgot when we answered the question Chris Williams left before, we were assuming that LeBron was going to be out. Now the fact that he is confirmed expected to play, I do think this really changes the value situation. So yeah, I mean, now that we have much thinner value, like Cam Reddish isn't somebody who's nearly as much of a priority now. Yeah, I think you take some punch shots on Rashawn Holmes for showdown purposes. Jake Lindland, thoughts on Lonnie Walker and Yurt7 on DK. Lonnie Walker, I'm right around even with the field with. Yurt7 is somebody who I think is Yurt7 isn't even guaranteed to play minutes. If Yurt7 plays 0 minutes, I would be stunned by that.
That's what I said. I wouldn't. That's why it's uncomfortable. Is that like I talk about the John Collins thing and this, and it's like, not that your lineups need to tell a story, but like you can't have more than 240 minutes projected for any individual team. And as you go through the minutes, specifically on some of these guys, you just kind of like stare at it. And I feel as though I want to just make it an even split between him and John Collins at the center spot. But like Orlando brings 3 centers. I think that's what makes me feel the most confident that Yurt7 will see the floor is you legitimately have only big set like Wendell Carter and Goga off the bench there. Orlando's not going to go small. There's no way that they really can go small. They haven't all year. So like, I think that just becomes a spot where it's 16-32, but yeah, I'm uncomfortable about it. That's for sure.
Tiptoe Aeneas wants to know our favorite 2 players at each position on FanDuel. Yeah, I'll just do this and read these ones off. Try to go a little faster so we can answer all of your guys' questions. Starting at point guard, Dennis Schroeder and DeJounte Murray on FanDuel. At shooting guard, that is DeJounte Murray and Mikal Bridges. At small forward, Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. Power forward, Kevin Durant and Paulo Banchero. I'm also trying not to repeat guys that were already set at other positions. Nice. So then center, Nick Claxton and Şengün over there. Next question is from Hunter Schwartz. Hunter wants to know Colin Sexton or Tyus Jones for FanDuel.
And I can see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
That is Tyus. Colin Sexton is super, super expensive. He
sure is.
Yeah, Sexton is $7,300.
You want to talk about tilting minutes? That guy has tilting minutes.
And I assume he said Tyus Jones. I'm going to assume he means Trey Jones.
I would assume so too. Because
Trey Jones, strong play over on FanDuel. If it's just who projects for more fantasy points, the answer is Sexton, but Sexton's $1,600 more expensive. So that is going to be a no for me. Mr. Coolcam asked for our favorite players at each position on FanDuel. We just went over that, so I think we should be good there. Sniff says, if Green is out, do you fire up Thompson? Does Whitmore get more minutes or Holiday? So between Thompson, Whitmore, and Holiday, I would expect Thompson to play the most minutes if Jalen Green is out.
Samesies. That's why he's there.
Peppy wants to know, boy, a lot of people asking us about Omer Yurtseven here. Strickstein wants to know how much Cam Johnson do I have? Cam Johnson is, I believe, my most rostered player.
Makes sense to me.
Cam Johnson, my most rostered player. He's in 4/5 of my lineups. So a lot of Cam Johnson. Also, I ran lineups for the late slate because of the super chat that we got before. So for the late slate, these are my most rostered players. Tyus Jones at point guard. It was KCP at shooting guard. Kispert at small forward. Kuzma at power forward. Anthony Davis at center. Those are my most rostered players for everybody on the late slate. Oh, Watkins just said best guard plays. Yeah, so overall top guard plays, Tyus Jones, D'Angelo Russell, KCP, Duncan Robinson. Those are the guys I think you want to be building around. And let's answer as many of these Discord questions as we can here before lock. This next one coming to us from Hitman J wants to know any love for Wemby and Keldon Johnson for a DK single entry. Yeah, they're both. Those are two guys that I'm overweight to both Wemby and Keldon, and Keldon Johnson. Not like massively so, but I'm overweight to both of them. Good single entry plays. I don't think either of them are going to be crazy popular in that format. And then Clyde wants to know Lauri Markkanen or Franz Wagner for DK, Eric.
Neither, but Lauri Markkanen between the two. That game,
Markkanen is going to be my answer there. Next question here is Rico Raw want to know best FanDuel plays by position. Yeah, just went on that. Gangrene wants to know is Yurtseven the lotion play of the night? We didn't do
for the lotion in the skin. He's
the
he could be the one applying the lotion on the bench, so that'd be fun.
Greasing the guys up,
greasing them up, just trying to ease the tension, baby. Go ease in on someone else.
IC50 wants to know is Aaron Holiday viable if Green is out? Yes, but he wouldn't be the first Rockets guy I go to. Like it would be I would go to Thompson first as if I'm trying to take one Houston guy that I want to play, it would be Thompson as the biggest benefactor from the absence of Jalen Green. And then M Bach 005 wants to know Chris Paul. You getting any Chris Paul tonight, Eric?
No. He looked great the other night for what it's worth. Looked great.
Yeah,
watching him, he was bouncing around. He played 22 minutes, so no.
Yeah, so the problem with Chris Paul, let's see, how many minutes did he end up playing that game? So we got out of Chris Paul, by the way, Jalen Brunson was expected to play. He's now confirmed in. 22. So Chris Paul, last game, first game back, he only played 22 minutes. I know he played really well, per what Eric had said, in those 22 minutes, but I just don't know what his minutes upside is now. In the future, sure. For this slate, though, a little bit too thin. So Eric and I are on the same page there as far as Chris Paul goes.
Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it.
And we are all caught up on questions. We're also just about at lock. If you guys haven't done it and you're watching us on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but we are not going anywhere. I mean, well, we kind of are. We're just going over to playback, but we're still going to keep talking here. So if you guys want to continue watching the show, head on over to playback. Jordan will be dropping those links into the YouTube chat so you guys could click on that and go and join us. Eric, also, if you wouldn't mind, throw something into our Discord channel. Let the people in Odd Shopper know that we're going live to break down some bets. Try to get those people to come and watch, really get a bunch of people. And we got a late super chat from Merrill Parker. Merrill's asking us, Wemby and Green or Durant and Van Vliet? That is Durant and Van Vliet for me. Two guys who really stand to gain from injuries post-lock. Kevin Durant, if Bradley Beal is out, he's currently questionable. Fred VanVleet is already one of my most rostered players on the slate. He might get Jalen Green out to make him look better. So Merrill Parker, option 2 there. And let's go ahead and head on over to playback. SC, if he's confused, anyone got a playback link? I know he's only trolling there, but still pretty good stuff there. Timmy2000 wants to know, will we go 30 minutes extra today on YouTube? We're going to go an hour extra over on playback. Go join us there, and it's totally free. So no downside there. And if you do have NBA League Pass, you can watch the games with Eric and I on screen as we talk as well. It's going to be a good time. If you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for any stochastic package, use the links that we have below in the description box. Peace out. Eric and I are going to be over at Playback for the next hour.